So, all right. Well, if everyone's ready, why don't we open the meeting here and call this to order? Do we have anyone here for public comment today?
It's crowded, but nobody wants to speak.
We got the minutes from November 27th.
Move on minutes.
Okay, we've got a motion.
Second.
By Brian and a second by Walt to approve the minutes. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Financial statement, December 30th, included here.
We got Cooper showed up. How do you want to do them? Sure, you want to do them individually here?
I think we can do them both, can't we? As long as they're, it's up to you. It's up to you guys. Kyra, did you look through these?
Yep, I looked it up.
All right, good.
Everything good? Just give us 1 second, just to hide that. Look at this. One question for Kyra. Kyra, the Acadia, that's in Ontario?
Yes,
That's one of our sponsors?
yes, does radio and digital advertisements.
And integrated systems, 5,000. Not sure.
That is our Mulzer maintenance contract.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In the building? Yep. Well, they do. Yep. On that, they stopped the other morning.
Is that an annual billing?
And after
Yes.
some lights are on pretty bright.
Yep.
Then I did see somebody in the building.
Right.
So as soon as somebody comes in, then the lights would.
That's correct. Yep.
Vector copy, that was, he did our
Analysis.
analysis, yeah. So we good with everything? And she's still looking at it. We good?
Yep, yep, we're good.
Move to the bills.
Okay, we've got a motion by Brian.
I'll second.
And we've got a second. Is there any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Engineers report, SEH. Welcome.
Morning. Bob has joined us. Is Steve Trudeau on the line? Is that,
We don't have Steve.
trying to track down?
Yeah, we're not sure what, we haven't heard from him.
You want me to give him a call?
Well, we just gave him a call, so we'll see if we can get a hold of Steve Trudeau here in a moment. Meanwhile, Kyra, are you able to share your screen with the camera, or is that, do we not have that capability for you?
Should be shared.
I think you might have to, if you do have your computer set up, I think you have to go to the little camera icon and click on that to share the screen. Because we can't see you,
Oh, good. There,
not overly critical. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, that's not freaky.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead without Steve, or do you want us to do the other stuff first, Bob? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, do the other stuff first, because Steve's got all the updates.
Okay. Well, we'll switch if it's okay with you, we'll switch the airfield, airside stuff with the terminal stuff and move forward with the memorandum. Hopefully Kyra was able to pass that around and print that off. Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Item 1 that we have on there is more of an update, no change from last month. I just wanted to put it on here so we have a record that we have retainage being held for phase 1 reconstruction of the runway. That's with KGM. Again, no work has been performed, but we're holding that 1% until next spring when we can verify that the grass is growing and the project is satisfactorily accepted. So no changes there. Any questions on phase 1?
Nope.
land acquisition and relocation, we debated keeping this one on there, but we just left it on here just for record that it is complete. The Schobergs have moved. They've, I think that there might be some paperwork that will continue to be processed through the grant applications and reimbursements. But that process, both the acquisition and the relocation, are complete as well. So that was a lot of coordination over the last year or so to complete that, and that one is done as well. So any questions concerning the Schobergs?
They're happy, we're happy, huh?
Yeah, as far as I know, at least from ProSource, the Schobergs are settling in. So,
Good. Brian, please.
Sean, is it part of that project, or is it up to the airport to, when do we start demoing?
So that'll be part of Ariel's update here as part of the weather balloon facility, the upper air inflation facility relocation. So that'll come down with that. So I believe
Okay.
Ariel will give an update on that
That's fine.
during her section.
That's fine, we'll wait. Or I'll wait.
For the next one, phase 2, taxiway Alpha, Chelsea will give an update.
All right, so Uland began construction on December 2nd for removal of obstruction. They have completed all of the runway 1331 obstructions excluding the wetland areas. So those are all complete for now. They're going to remobilize in mid-January or early February, depending on a permit that we are waiting for from the Corps. To do wetlands and finish the 1432 obstruction. We would like to consider the pay application number 1 in the amount of $308,465 for mobilization of their work and removals that they've done so far. Another thing, we have coordinated all of the off-airport removals with the neighboring landowners, excluding the Fill Day property. They are moving, as we have talked about previously. They are agreeable to having those removals and relocating the fence, but we're going to do a temporary, we would like to recommend a temporary 2-year easement on that property to hopefully bridge that gap with the new owners of that property. And we can develop a temporary easement language and coordinate with the city attorney and owners to obtain that necessary approval.
Okay, I'm just gonna hold you off for a second. Kyra, can you get that? Remind us, huh? There we go. We lost the picture, but we got it back.
So are you asking for approval in that pay application?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
All right, we've got a motion for the pay application, $308,465.
Also,
And a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay,
Wonderful. Are there any questions on the phase 2?
how much more removal is anticipated? Just curious.
Yep. How much more?
How much more?
10 to 15?
15 acres.
15 acres, approximately.
Yeah, it's approximate.
Yeah, approximately 15 acres, I would say.
Okay.
any other questions? I have one. Is there a price set for wetland mitigation per acre? Do we have any costs on that yet?
I don't remember the exact cost, but I believe you already had approved the purchase agreement for that a few months ago. Sorry, I don't have the number. I can find it here real quick. But that was approved with the wetland permit application that went in, I want to say maybe in September, or right around there.
34,000.
Was it in the 30,000 acre? 34,000, something like that?
It was close, yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it interesting because when we did the last runway project, it was $20,000 for an acre, and we thought that was outrageous. That's why we had that picture. So it's almost doubled over that period of time. Amazing. All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to the weather balloon facility project. Right now, design is fully underway. This one bullet point here, memorandum of understanding between SA, National Weather Service, and International Calls is being reviewed by National Weather Service Legal. That one's been on there a while, and National Weather Service is aware, and they're trying to work to push that forward as soon as possible. But I will keep you posted when I know something otherwise. Design team is working towards a 60% review set to be completed on January 10th. And Thor, you're involved in those calls, so you'll get a copy of that.
Yes.
And then we'll be bidding in April. So to your question, demolition will probably start as soon as they can get mobilized and submittals approved. So probably early summer. We're looking at for property demolition, and then late summer or early fall 2020 construction of the new building pad to relocate the facility and set it on there. And so the only work that we're looking at this winter is likely tree clearing. They need a 300-foot clear radius. There's an attachment that we can share on the screen here. Are you guys able to see the figure on the screen?
Yes.
So you'll see there's a blue area that indicates the limits of tree clearing that we anticipate. That's based on a 300-foot required clear radius for the balloon launch activities. And the location of the proposed building is right off the existing gravel drive. That's not shown on there, but it's at the center of that radius. Yep, right about there. And so we still have to do a few things on the environmental review side to get that accomplished yet this winter. And then clearing or grubbing and other demolition activities would occur with the project in the summer.
Is it going to be approximately the same size as the current building?
The existing building is just going to be relocated. The superstructure will just be relocated. And so it will be the same size. The orientation will have the same size facing the road. So it'll rotate 180 degrees. And then there are a few miscellaneous structures around the property they're really small that will also get relocated or demolished, but those are minor to the launch building. So it should look the same from the exterior, just the gravel drive will be slightly different.
Go ahead.
So that blue radius area, after it's cleared and grubbed, will it just be then into kind of like a grassy mowed area?
I think it's in its natural state. I don't believe that whole radius needs to be mowed. I think only the immediate vicinity does need to be mowed, if I'm understanding correctly.
There you go, Thor.
And that blue radius that you're seeing there, that's actually just clear, and they don't need it to be fully grubbed. There's a smaller circle around the property that's for the grubbing.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Just one last item that I had on that one is that we are looking as a design team to conduct a quality control site review late January, tentatively on the 23rd, to meet with key stakeholders. So I was thinking that could be the TED with the City Water and Street Commission, and then the building officials to discuss our results and where we're at right now. So look for a date on that, or I'll keep you in the loop and let you know when we're going to be up there.
I'm sure there'll either be a big snowstorm or it'll be 40 below. But
I know we have a back backup plan for Dave for that reason.
That's good.
We seem to have pretty bad luck.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, a couple quick updates on the wetland permit. So if you remember, we have two separate wetland permit applications that we submitted, one for the commercial service apron and one for the runway project. For the commercial service apron, the Corps approved that permit several months ago on their end. But we are still waiting to hear from Coochin County for the WACA approval. So for the WACA test, we're just waiting on essentially their signature and approval for that piece. We've checked in with them a few times, and maybe after the holidays, if we don't hear anything by January, it might be helpful for the commission just to touch base with, I think it's Matt Guin, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, with the county. If we're not able to hear anything from them, maybe by the end of January, just so we have all that permit documentation in place prior to construction this coming spring.
Yeah,
So that's all we're waiting for on the commercial service apron.
Gwen is correct, Matt Gwen, and he's the environmental
Okay.
service director. So Brian and I will be seeing him not next Tuesday, Tuesday after.
Yeah.
You know, Kyron,
Okay.
Kyron, could you follow up with that and just send a note to Matt so that we?
Because I don't trust Commissioner Pavlik to remember.
I don't trust
So,
him.
no, but yeah, we'll get that taken care of. We should follow up on that.
That's why I said Brian and I figured between the two of us, one of us. But anyway, it works better if you'll do that, Kyron. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else on that?
Not on that. The other wetland permit application we have is for phases 2 and 3 of the runway reconstruction project. That was sent a few months ago to the Corps and the county. We did get good news from the Corps in December that they anticipate reviewing it as a transportation general permit, which is a simpler permitting process. The other option would have been an individual permit, which has a longer, there's more public notice steps, and it's a longer review process with the Corps. So we're on a simpler review track, which is good news. So hopefully that one will be moving through the process here within the next month or two. Any questions on that wetland permit application?
Nope.
All right, that's all I have.
All right.
And then very briefly on public involvement and stakeholder engagement, we met with Frankie Barr after the last commission meeting via video conference. That was right before Thanksgiving. We also had our construction meeting with Hewlin Brothers to coordinate the removals, and then the National Weather Service FAA coordination meeting was held on December 19th to discuss the ongoing weather balloon facility relocation project. And the only meeting that is scheduled for now is an FAA project coordination meeting January 6th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll send out a go-to meeting link so we can share screens. But everyone is welcome to attend that one. It is at the FAA office down at the airport, but we'll have go-to meeting capability for the one at 10.
So you, when you met with landowners, that included Thor, correct?
Yes.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did meet with Thor.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
So that's the airside stuff. You ready, Bob, for terminal?
As ready as I'm going to be. Last week with our team, and I did talk to Steve Trudeau this morning. I thought everybody was going to be calling in for the meeting, but it appears that they're all on vacation. But Steve was just texting me, so I'll give you an update as to what I know. There aren't a lot of outstanding items left on the terminal. The interior signage that was supposed to be up. Can you guys confirm that is up?
Yes, it is. Yes. Yep.
Okay. did have a meeting last week with Customs. There are a few outstanding items there. We do have to do some key locks, need to be finished there. Brothers has to come back and do a few things in there yet before Customs can move in. But I believe most of that is completed, and they should be ready for move in here very soon. The speakers in the secure waiting lounge, they were supposed to add 2 more speakers, and I believe that was completed, and Holly, last we heard, has been satisfied with that. Have you guys heard anything
No, that's my understanding.
contrary?
Yep.
That's your understanding?
It is.
Yes.
Okay. We're still working with the generator testing. We did get a letter from them stating that everything is working properly. So I'm not sure where we're going to go with that, if anything else needs to be done on that. And
Yeah. Ted's been talking with the generator folks, and I know that the testing came back all in the green, so that's good news. So hopefully, hopefully that thank you. That the oil consumption was from those multiple startup and shutoffs during the when we had the electrical glitches in the system before we brought that back to.
How long did you run it for?
I'd be lying. That's Ted. It's a long time.
Good.
I'll call him today.
And I talked to Ted last week, and he said that I think he changed oil,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was gonna get a good hard run on it, but since then I have not heard.
Okay.
I think it went okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's good news.
it is.
the next item is cell phone repeaters, which I believe that's all been installed, and that one will come off the list. Everything seems to be working appropriately there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Okay, good. That is all I have on the list. Is there any other questions I can answer on the terminal?
Anyone want to holler at Bob or anything? Yeah. I think you got through it.
The one other thing were the boilers. So there was a question that second boiler was not working. So they did come back out and take a look at it, and it appears that it was just one shutdown occurred rather than multiple shutdowns. So they believe that it is still working.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, you bet.
Any questions?
And I apologize that Carl Sanderson isn't on the line for next, being that it's Christmas week and now New Year's. Everybody's on vacation, but next time we'll have more of a list put together in front of you guys. We can run through that next.
Sounds good. All right. Anything else from SEH? Okay, if not, we'll move on then to old business. Naming of the terminal. I don't know what the discussion was there. We did have some, we did talk about it a couple meetings ago, and certainly mentioned the fact that I guess it seems like there's some agreement to do a name on it. We've got Einerson Brothers in big letters up there on the entrance, and I thought maybe if we just could have a plaque or something in the terminal was my thought, in honor of Bob Anderson. But that was just my thinking. We decided, we had some discussion and decided to bring it back here today. So I guess I'm just looking at the rest of you and seeing what your thoughts are.
Well, I actually did a little bit of back research because this is new to me on this board, but as I understand it, in October of 2011, both the airfield and the terminal were dedicated to Einerson, as I understand it. And so I think if we want to do anything, I think it makes sense to rededicate and add Bob in or something like that if that's the route we want to go. I think a rededication so that it's very clear that we're not pushing one aside and equal because of how important both of those gentlemen were to the aeronautics of the area. But I think rededicating would make more sense than just dedicating or putting a new name on.
Just for clarification, when we're talking Einerson, we're talking Jim and Francis, because they were both a big part of it, and the reason we're here today, actually. So I want to make that clear. Yeah, I don't know if do you remember, was it a field or just the whole thing at the time?
It was the airport, was it not? The airport general, was not the terminals per se. Terminal could be named separately.
That couldn't be named separately, yes. Exactly.
Which kind of makes more sense because Jim and Francis were focused on building the whole situation here, where Bob was really responsible, and as far as I'm concerned, he worked harder than anyone in getting this particular terminal. And by the way, the last terminal, he was the main go-getter on the previous terminal. So I mean, what an accomplishment when you think about it. And I mean, that's why I felt. I know he was kind of shy on any recognition, but I just thought it'd be good to have something here in his honor. Brian?
I mean, we're not MSP, of course, but I think it is Wold Chamberlain Field, and then they had the Humphrey Terminal and the that's it, Lindbergh Terminal. So I mean, you do have the multiple names involved in these airports. So.
From our perspective, I assure you that we would support anything, literally. We feel embarrassingly blessed in the sense that, boy, it was so kind to name the field at the Andersons. Step A. Step B, whatever we can do to honor Bob from our full support. I think I appreciate very much your kind words, Wade, regarding my family, and my father and my uncle. But at the same time, factually, the airport wouldn't be where it is today without Bob Anderson. That's just the truth. And so, which if I may segue, I just remembered in my possession I have the two original plaques from the terminal that was built in '78. And I know there was some discussion about where we were going to mount those. What we're going to do with those. They're wrapped and protected in our painter. So I'd like to add that to this discussion too, what we should do with the old plaques. Where should we put them?
Good point.
I think running back to Bob, I think Brian makes a good point that it's very common that you have a field named or a terminal named with someone else, someone else's name. I guarantee you, from our perspective, we will totally support whatever the commission.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if we were to do it, I think we need to have a motion from the board, and then we'd have to have a formal dedication to allow the Anderson family to be here if we were going to move forward with that. I mean, we don't need to have a big ribbon cutting and all that, but I think we would want to contact them and have them here for a formal naming or whatever, if the board was going to, or the commission was going to do that.
And SEH, you were a big part of this, working with Bob hand in hand. So I mean, if we did that, I'd love to have you here too. So.
We would be honored to be there.
Would we not want to do that today, or would you want to do that at a formal setting of the board that we publish to do it, or should we just go ahead and do it?
I think we should publish to do it, public input.
Just put it on next agenda and say that the board, the commission will have that
dedication,
dedication or that discussion, and then naming.
I think we should have public input though too, and open it up so that the public knows that we're going to do it at that meeting. If they want to come and show up, they can.
I know one time we talked about Oberstar, so I mean, would be some other input into it, but I agree with Walt. I think next meeting, if we could publish that it's going to be on the agenda and see if there's any public input into it.
Everybody okay with that? All right. Kyra, then if you could get on the next agenda and let the public be aware, I guess, so then we can make a decision one way or the other at that point. How's that? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Next was a discussion on the joint powers agreement and bylaws.
I think I'll leave.
That was your baby, as I recall.
But if you look in the minutes from the last meeting, you were going to have a discussion with Kyra on when we set up the meeting. So I think I've voiced my concerns and the concerns of the city council.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, I'm just wondering if we should do it just as part of a regular meeting. It seemed to make the most sense. It's very hard to get everybody here, as we've been finding out, that we didn't have a quorum here at a meeting last week. So, would everybody be okay with that? That way we know we have everybody?
I have no problem with it. I think it's going to be a lengthy discussion. I think that it's going to be more than what we're going to be able to bite off in an hour and a half or 2 hours. I mean, we're legitimately looking at a bylaws that are 22 years old that need to be updated and looked through.
Well, maybe we're not going to do it all in one meeting then, unless we take a day.
And that's what my point is. I mean, I think that this is something that we can look at over the course of the next year. If we're looking at just the minor bylaw, the original bylaw change that I brought up about membership and appointees to the board, I think we could hammer that out in less than an hour. You know, I mean, just having a discussion of what that looks like, how we do that, what the process is. But if we're going to look at legitimately going through the bylaws, I think that could be legitimately a 6 month to a year process, and then try to start in 2021 putting forth the new process of the bylaws, because there's a lot of outdated information that's in there.
All right. Any other comments from members? Yeah, I don't know about doing something for a year, but if we're going to take it one piece at a time, then it would make sense to do it as part of a board meeting and then an hour after. Do one subject at a time, or if the board prefers, we can do a long shot type of thing. We'd have to, if we're even that would probably, as you said, hardly have to be a series.
Right, and what I guess my suggestion would be is if we want to take it chunks at a time, we don't adopt anything until we've went all the way through the process. We're not going to adopt one change for section 1 and then a second change for section 2. I mean, if we just keep track of where we've been and then we make a full recommendation after we went through the entire document, I think that's a good way of doing it. And I think we have to bring in some of the finance people from the county and the city if we're going to start looking at how the board is financed, which was in the discussion last month about the city's holding the balance for everything from this commission, and we end up getting reimbursed afterwards, but we're losing close to $36,000 in interest from being the fiscal agent. And I think that when the board originally started, we didn't have a secretary or someone in Kyra's position that would be able to write those bills, and I think that it makes more sense for the city and the county both to contribute funds to the airport, to this commission, as the joint powers agreement, or however you word the agreement that we have. We put those funds into one section, and then if we need more money, the city and the county both kick in the same amount. But what's happening right now is the city treasury basically is writing the checks for this board and commission, and then we get reimbursed the amounts. So we're actually upfronting all of the money for the airport, and I think we'd like to see that changed in the future as well.
Yeah, I don't see that as a huge issue. We've had some discussion on it, but I mean, the costs have gotten bigger over the years. as I recall, the way that happened, the airport was owned by the city, and the county came in, so the city just continued to do the finances way back when, you know, even when Brian and I were young commissioners, there wasn't a lot of money for the city to handle. Of course, now with all the reconstruction and stuff, that's changed.
Mhm.
So I don't see that as a huge issue. I think we can accommodate that. Right?
I agree that there's a change that got to be made, and some are going to take some pretty good discussion. In our airport meetings right now, when we're going through these construction phases, I think we want to stay outside of that. And if we're going to do these, you know, do them an hour at a time, either before or after, or even a separate meeting, that rather than try to do the whole thing at one time.
I agree.
Maybe an article at a time or 2 articles. Some we can breeze right through and say they're fine. As far as, you know, the city being the fiscal agent, I understand this, an issue for the city finances. But you realize we're within a 5-year construction that is probably going to be unheard of going forward for this airport. I mean, this is, you know, we're talking $70 million in the last, you know, probably 5-6 year period, which is a huge chunk that we'll probably never go through again. But yeah, I agree that the city needs some help with carrying that load.
Well, and to your point, and like I said last month, I understand that. I mean, I don't think that any of the changes that need to go into effect, I mean, other than, especially with the finance side, I think we have to get through what we're doing right now for this reconstruction project. I think getting through this, it makes the most sense to continue the way that we've been doing it, and we'll get through this. But again, in 30 years, we may have to do another big project, or there may be something that has to be upfronted. So if we can make that change now, it'll ease both the financial responsibilities of both the city and the county moving forward, because we will understand what those numbers are, and each entity will have to budget accordingly.
We thought Walt could just foot the bill. He's got the cash, and we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Just out of curiosity, Bob, is there any other airports that you know that are co-ownership, like between the county and city? Bob or Sean?
Grand Rapids is yes, they are owned by the city of Grand Rapids and Itasca County, and then they have a joint powers agreement, and then the city council of Grand Rapids is the agent that gets to sign everything, and I don't remember how their documents are set up, but
Fiscal
the county doesn't actively approve anything with them, but does contribute financially. Yeah, City of Badet, Lake of the Woods County is another one.
The Bemidji, that's county.
Bemidji is too? City?
I believe Bemidji is an airport authority, so they're their own government entity.
Okay.
So it's not unheard of co-ownership and joint powers agreement, so.
All right.
It's worked, I think we can get it to go.
Yep.
Get a copy of one of their agreements too.
I think there's such a hodgepodge. I think they all do things just whatever fits them. We could certainly look at them or whatever.
Well, and my thoughts is that our agreement isn't broken. It just needs to be updated. I think I'm very confident with what we have. It just needs to be updated and tweaked a little bit to be more like what we're actually doing. I mean, I had mentioned the janitorial service last month. It's not a big deal, but both entities are supposed to know if we enter into an agreement before we enter into an agreement. And although we knew it wasn't a formal process, that the council was aware that we were doing it or whatever. So it's not that the system's broken. It just needs to be tweaked and updated to what we're doing and how we're moving forward.
All right. Any other comments? Thor? Staying out of this one.
No, I appreciate the dialogue. I'm just processing the whole discussion thing.
Okay, well, I guess, why don't we do this at our next meeting? It sounds to me like the financials probably the one that you find most critical of the city.
Financials and appointments.
So should we try that, or see if we can do something after our next meeting, take an hour or two, and, because at least then we've got everybody here.
Yep.
Right.
Or if not, the next, I don't know what the vacation schedules are either. I know Brian and I usually work on a little bit here in the dead of winter, but.
Well, I think the appointments, we could probably get through that one pretty quick. I mean, and the financial may take a little bit more.
Mhm.
And then some other stuff, I think it's just some crossing out, some wording, maybe adding that it or not here or there, so.
And at the end, we have to send it to both bodies to
Yep.
approve.
But getting back to the Mayor's comment about the city council being informed, and I think that's one of the reasons when this was formed, why we had councilors and commissioners. It's our duty to keep our entities informed of what's going on, so.
Absolutely.
And that's the concern, I realize what you're saying about the time for certain people to get here, but if you don't have the correct people sitting here, you cannot keep your entity informed of what's going on there. So I think that's one of the reasons why it was set up that way.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, so Kyra, if you could try to squeeze in some time after next.
So we'll look at the membership and get that one done, and maybe start looking at how the joint powers does.
When is our next meeting, by the way?
We're gonna set it yet.
We haven't set it, so we're gonna be into almost February.
And we'll be into January.
In January.
I guess what I'm getting at, I wanna make sure if we're gonna be doing this, that we've got a full group here. And so I don't know what the schedules are.
In January, February, we can get through some of it.
All right. Okay, everyone okay with that? All right, good. Thank you. Okay. Travel expense.
Midnight, what's the audit report?
Oh. MnDOT audit report, yeah. Want to do that one?
Yep, I can explain that if you want.
Oh, here it is.
It's basically just the single audit after the airport completes their annual audit. Then it gets sent off to a single audit report to MnDOT. They reviewed it, everything looked good. They did note the same as our auditors did when they did ours, is that we're deficient in the policies and procedures document. So what I would like to do, our auditors had sent me some information on creating that policy and procedures document along with conflict of interest policies and standards. It is a requirement for the uniform guidance policy of the single audit to have those documents completed. So I'd like to have approval to send that to Steve Shermone to look at those documents and put something together.
That we could approve then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion by Hurley.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second then to we'll set this up, get that information, and put something together. I always love the way their opinion, auditor's opinion, they never really stick their neck on the line, yeah. But anyway, so we'll get that set up, Brian?
So if we get that and we adopt it, is that just part of a procedure, or would that become part of our joint powers agreement, how that's handled? Probably just be a policy.
I think it's just a policy and procedure that we would hold, so.
Yeah. For the board. no
Yes.
matter who's here, yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Just to have so everyone's covered.
We're dealing with a lot of money, and I know auditors get nervous when, we get Kyra and Paul and I and this commission, and our oversight is what it is.
Paul?
I just question, how often does this, the MnDOT audit occur?
It's an annual audit.
It is, I don't know if you call it in the past.
It's because I believe this one, the single audit, is if we have projects over so much, or we have expenses and whatnot that is over a certain amount, that the single audit has to be completed.
Okay.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second on this. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Brian?
One question. Now, the financials, Kyra, we have a motion to pay our expenses and bills for the month, right?
Mhm.
Do we need to do what we're doing with the other boards and commissions as far as the financials to say that they're being filed with administration for future audit?
That's all they are. The only thing that
We've
you're
never-
approving are bills.
We
You've
do not
never,
approve the financials.
correct.
Okay.
Because and that is because the city actually has our official financials. This is just a secondary, which shows a better reflection that's a little easier to understand than
Alright.
the city's way of looking at it, I think. And so that's why we created those documents.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to the travel expense request. And just, I don't think the whole board was aware, but I mean, Bob, I believe I heard from you, right? On that particular meeting, and but it had to be, I think I got the word on it Saturday, and it had to be, we needed a decision by Monday, if I recall. So really didn't have time to contact everyone.
Right. And if I may, unfortunately, and I was honored to do so, but unfortunately I have a serious conflict of interest. My nephew's wedding rehearsal dinner is January 24 in Duluth, so I will not be able to attend.
Well, for the rest of you, what I did, I talked to Thor because he's gone before, and it's really a recognition program, and we certainly want to have someone there. And Kyra had mentioned that, she would be willing to go if the board approved. So I called Bob and gave him Thor and Kyra's name,
Right.
and so that, because Bob had to get some names down there and get it to him Monday. It's just one of those weird mix-ups, and there was no time to have a meeting or talk to anyone. So that's where it's at. Kyra, is that something you'll be able to attend?
I can attend, yeah.
If the board approves?
Yeah.
She'd look much better in a dress than I would. So.
Well, we know that for sure.
So where's this meeting being held?
In the Twin Cities, yeah. Is there anyone else who would want to attend? Yeah. Brian and I are going to be making a bunch of trips to the cities at that time of year, so it's.
Could you just explain the purpose of this meeting?
Of course. Bob,
Bob?
Please share about the awards banquet.
Yeah, it's an award banquet where we submitted the terminal for ACEC award, and it did receive an honor award. So what we're going to be doing is we have a table at the banquet, go there for a meal, and the terminal will be presented for this award, and then we'll just go up and accept the award, and that's about it. There will be three other with us, SCH clients and other SCH folks, so we'll have a table of 10, I believe.
Okay. Well, it is an honor. I think we should definitely have
Very
someone
nice.
there.
What time is it? Because I'm going to be in the cities that day anyway.
On the 24th?
Yeah.
It's 5:30, I think it is.
Is it 5:30,
I have
Bob?
the email. I can forward it to you.
Do you recall the time?
It's on a Friday evening.
Give us a second, we can
Yes.
find it.
Starts at 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Let me verify that that's the day I have to be there.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
go ahead.
I would move to approve expenses for up to 2 people.
Yeah, I will be there that day. I'll be in the cities anyway.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second, authorizing the expenses for the recognition ceremony, and SCH, thank you for keeping us informed too, and that's a big deal. So, all right.
Absolutely.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Kyra, you'll do a good job, so thank you. All right, all those in favor signify by
I
saying
won't do a
aye.
good job.
Hi.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Kyra's, she makes us all look good,
Yes.
which we need help on. Okay, we're gonna go down to the manager's report. Thor.
Certainly, as probably communicated, that we closed the airport yesterday, it was a safety concern. We were trying our best to get the flights in and obviously do it in a safe and efficient manner. I got a call from TSA boss in through Matt in Minneapolis asking us, "Are you guys still running flights? Everyone else is canceled." So I just took that cue, talked to the other airports, and it literally was a safety issue. We selected us to follow along with the other regional airports and close. So we're open. We opened this morning officially back at 7 a.m. So we'll be back 100%. It's been a typical winter operations in National Falls and winter mix ice fall.
Yeah, if I could interject here,
Sure.
I was here for, I can't remember what it was for, but that particular morning, we had a generator or something out on an aircraft and I couldn't take off.
Yes.
And it was the day before Christmas and all
Yes.
these people were stranded here.
Right.
What
It worked
happened?
out. They sent another aircraft,
Okay.
and we just didn't use the jet bridge
That's
and
okay.
manually, quote unquote, manually loaded the people.
I know there were some nervous people.
Right.
That's for sure.
That's a good reminder for a story, if I may. On December 25, my wife and I were at Bob Anderson's house for a Christmas family gathering there, and I got a call from one of my staff, Jake Karras, said, "Hey, there's a boutique aircraft here, which is a PC-12 single engine. It's an air carrier scheduled air service into Thief River Falls." And Thief River Falls Airport, the runway conditions were unsafe and couldn't get the braking actions we needed to go. So they used us as an alternate. So left party came here, and really neat story. It was working with Boutique Air and kind of got a little information about Thief River Falls and the small airline and what have you. And on Christmas Eve, these folks were trying to get home, and so it worked out really well. But it's typical airport operations. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So. And back to the weather. You know, this is our first real challenging event for 2019. So we're not complaining. You know, it's the way it is. Duluth, my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, flooding. Think of that. It's incredible. You know, it's a disaster. It's amazing. So, thankfully, they were on the predictions for the accumulation and wind values. They were off, which is wonderful. I think officially at the airport, as of midnight last night, it was 8 inches here. But the surrounding area, I'm very convinced they had a lot more snow. I think the Ray area of South Cousin and South Canada, depends on where the moisture comes from. But yeah, so very fortunate on that. If I may, I don't want to take up too much time. It's kind of an interesting Sun Country story. 2 months ago, I was at the LASAC meeting at guests of Mac, and then after the meeting, we were invited over to Sun Country and got a really neat tour of Sun Country. At the Sun Country meeting, the CEO of Sun Country mentioned kind of in passing that they were looking at, double quotation marks, possibly getting into the freight business. And I see that last week Amazon announced that they have a contract now with Sun Country to exclusively haul freight for them.
Wow.
It's fascinating. So I'm assuming that'll change the whole scheduling, chartering Nevada junkets for Sun Country. I'm assuming it's a small company, 18 jets. I think 10 are dedicated to Amazon. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects the smaller airports for those Nevada junkets. But yeah. Other than that, on a personal note, I survived the family gatherings for Christmas. So yeah, so we made it through that. And then in closing, make sure everyone tries out Mrs. Nevin's coffee cake. I haven't tried it yet, but she's a wonderful cook, so I plan on adding to the list. Thank you.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's suffering.
No, doesn't he? So, Finland, yeah.
All right, well, any questions for Thor? All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Secretary's report. There.
Employments are in the packet there for you. We're tracking right close to last year, just down slightly, but not much. So overall for the year so far, we're up about between 600 and 700 again for this year, which is good. Let's see. That's pretty much all I have. I was going to reference the city. I spoke with Ken Anderson this morning, and the city did submit an invoice to the county in regards to help with the city's deficit that they're carrying for the airport, and billed them for half of that amount, as well as the interest that was lost. Ken didn't have too much to update, but did say that he had heard back from Jenny and the county doesn't have the funds to pay that right now. So I'm not quite sure on where that will go, but just wanted to give a small update on that. And the airport artwork, we're still working on that with the holidays and whatnot. We haven't had a chance to finalize much, but we've got some artwork that needs to get up, and I have contacted a few of the others who submitted proposals and let them know that they can go ahead and get us some artwork and whatnot. And so once we have all that, we'll get things hung up and go from there. Last thing I do have, I had a note. There's rugs in the entryway where the main doors come in, and those rugs seem to be getting caught in the doors. When people bring in their luggage, they get bunched up and they move, and so they're getting stuck in the doors, and the doors are getting stuck open, or they're coming off the tracks or whatnot. So I don't know how we can solve that issue, but I was just asked to bring it up.
Yes, it's a good reminder. It's on my number one call list for today that we're either going to get shorter rugs or we're going to cut them off.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too. So very good.
Yes. Right. And then just those wheels, they roll and sort of wave ahead, and it just moves everything ahead.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And then the next one, that plane biplanes, and it goes the other way. So
Right.
I told you the other day the doors were stuck open.
Yes, it's interesting, and it's a good reminder. It's happening on a regular basis. And these doors, different design company. The old doors were a Stanley product. I'm not sure that the manufacturers on these, but they have the emergency, lack of a better description, breakaways on them. So what happens is people go smoking through with their roller carry-on, bang, and then it pops the door off the track, and then they don't tell anyone, and then we get the call after closing. Yeah, the terminal doors are open. It's only -5. We'll be fine.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments?
I have one, Kevin. So last month we had Steve Shimon here, and he was going to follow up with the minimum standards. And I thought maybe you were going to bring that up in the secretary's report.
Well, I have it on here. I haven't heard from him, so like I said, with the holidays and whatnot, I'm assuming not much, or he hasn't gotten it completed yet. So once I do, then I will for sure bring it back to the commission, and we'll get that for approval.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, when you were talking to Jenny, counties operate a little bit different by law, and we have to set a budget by the end of December, and that's what we have to follow. So that's why we do a preliminary budget in September and a final in December. So, but we'll have to stay on top of that. Keep Ryan and I informed. I mean, got to do something.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Kyra? Anything for us? You had enough of us. I don't blame you. Okay, we'll move on then. Reports from members. Commissioner McBride.
No, just Happy New Year to everybody. Thank SEH and your group for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
I thought we were going to be here alone, but just on Thor's comment about family, talking to Alan Rasmussen the other day, and he said, you work for 3 days cleaning your house before Christmas.
Yeah.
Family arrives, and in 15 minutes, it's a wreck. And all truth. That's why Paul leaves town on Christmas. He doesn't have to worry about cleaning his house.
And that's not considering the emotional wreck, the emotional scar.
Don't mess up someone else's.
Yeah.
No, I commented yesterday to my wife that snowstorm yesterday was one of the most intense that I've seen probably in the last, I don't know, to me 10 years. I mean, it was pretty intense there for about 12 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
So, good work by you folks.
Oh, no, thank you.
I wasn't shocked to see the closing, put it that way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we don't do it to, we give that great thought. We're concerned about the public, and so.
That's all I have.
No, thank you, though.
Nothing?
Just a couple things. It's wonderful to have the cell phone repeater in place. That's made a big difference. Now you can actually, cell phones work in all parts of the terminal, and I think the traveling public is pleased as well. It's interesting being here again. Just occasionally when the flight's coming in, just to walk down and just see the terminal usage. And people really enjoy the fireplace. And I talked to a number of folks that were traveling for Christmas or the holidays, and they had never been to the airport before. They were picking people up, and they were just, so I gave them little tours. I've been giving little tours, and they were just really appreciative of the airport. And like a lot of people in the community, a lot of people don't have a chance to interact or get in here and look at the terminal. And so they were impressed with the terminal and the amount of travelers here. So it's just a good reminder.
Good. Thank you, Paul.
One other thing I wanted to talk about that just reminded me was, and I talked to Thor about it, was, or maybe it was, we were at the KETA meeting, was the parking lot, and there's 100 vehicles out there that have snow on them for 3 weeks. And obviously with the Christmas period, and we have a lot of people traveling. But we are going to have to look at that parking issue, long-term parking, especially for snow removal now. I mean,
it's true.
It's tough for you guys.
It's tough, yeah.
So we'll have to look at some long-term parking. You know, anything over a week, you got to park in this area, whatever. But and you're going to have input on that.
Yes, for sure.
Long-term parking area. All right. Well, we're not going to let you off the hook. Any comments or?
From the camera lady.
Happy New Year.
So Carol and I, we messed up the house Christmas Eve, but then Christmas Day we spent with the Tuckers, got the snow machines going.
Yeah, cool.
Had a wonderful time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's always fun. So.
You went north then? You went to their house?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Left by snow machine from our house.
Yeah.
There was enough snow to make it. We had a great time.
Good.
Well, so I too want to all of you.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Happy New Year.
For a great year. Absolutely.
All our friends there at SEH.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
2020.
We enjoy working with
Thank
you.
you guys. Yeah. Thank you.
The only way we could be happier is if we had to pay you less money, but.
Say, team, is there going to be a press release on that awards ceremony, or is there?
Good question.
Well, it'd just be nice to share with our public after that happens. Or
Yeah, there probably will be. This is keep it under wraps for right now. They don't want any of it getting out until the ceremony.
We'll edit that right out of the broadcast.
But after the ceremony, there will be, yeah.
Okay, great.
Double secret probation.
Certainly share that. We can share that with you guys.
My bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a January meeting.
What's everybody?
Yeah, we got to set a January meeting, right?
What works for you folks?
Last week.
27?
What day is that?
This is Monday?
Yeah, that works. That would work for me.
January 27, will that work, ladies and gentlemen?
Who doesn't love a Monday morning meeting?
That work for you guys then at SEH?
Yeah, that would.
All right.
Yeah.
27.
At 8 a.m.
Because the 20th is a federal holiday, so
Yeah.
we'd have 27, okay?
Hey, 8 a.m. works for you guys too then? Sean?
Yeah, that'll work for us.
All right. We still don't want you, don't fly if it's bad weather. We can always do this instead, so. Okay.
Guaranteeing the next. Yeah.
Anything else from the board? All right, motion to adjourn would be in order. We've got a motion.
I want to stay longer. I can't.
Harley, you're a diehard. I'll take that as a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.